Okay, so for my lesson plan, I am teaching a general music course, and specifically grade 12s, it's their composition unit from the Programs of Studies. I've taken that melodies in both Dorian and Lydian modes should be written, or that a student should compose a piece in extended ternary form. So basically these are just different types of scales or an extended form of something that they would have covered in a previous class or even previous grade if they've been with the class long enough. The technology that I chose was Makey Makey. So in order to display the compositions that these students create, and these would be fairly short for this lesson, they would create any kind of piano they would like out of anything conductible, even if it's some metal wire, protractor, or some of their peers. And they would use it to create their keyboards that they would then display their compositions with. So they could perform it for the class or just as in small groups. I chose these two together because I was very inspired by the Maker Day at the university because I saw one of the booths had created a keyboard out of vegetables using Makey Makey, and while people were just sort of tapping on different notes, I thought it would be really neat to actually create or to play a composition on them and have several people, say, playing. Because the keyboards are so limited, you could have a few different people playing different lines of the same piece to create more complex music. So the assessment criteria that I used would basically be following the Program of Studies, and it would just be determining whether or not, by listening to the composition or viewing their handwritten compositions before they played it, whether or not they stuck with performing it in Dorian or Lydian mode, and if they've actually created something in extended ternary form. So that would be looking at the theory behind it all, and of course whether or not they have successfully created their piano and that it actually works with what they're trying to perform. For my optional components, I did choose the sample final project because from the lesson plan, I was very inspired as to where this could take my students eventually. I did not choose the terms of use and digital citizenship considerations simply because of how I was using this technology in the lesson and how it was going to be an extension of what the students were creating. The digital citizenship just didn't seem quite as relevant a component to cover for this. Same with the affordances and constraints as per UDL. While this would have been very relevant, as of course the affordances, it creates a new type of expression for the students where there are some constraints. I just found that ideas such as the integration with the maker movement big ideas, it really applied more to the lesson plan that I had chosen, simply because I was inspired by Maker Day, and so I wanted to choose maker movement big ideas such as learning by doing and hard fun. I wanted to address those just because, especially with this, how the music can be very difficult to create, but playing it on something like a carrot keyboard or running up and down stairs to play Beethoven's Fifth or something can be very rewarding, I think, to get onto the other side of something that's so challenging to do. So addressing integration with at least one emerging trend and or technology described in the 2016 Horizon Report. I did choose to do this because after reading the Horizon Report and watching a couple of clips on different schools doing different maker spaces, that kind of incorporation of technology into the classroom and creating a new sort of classroom environment that wasn't possible before really seemed relevant to me, as something like this with music wouldn't have been possible before these two guys at MIT created Makey Makey or GarageBand was available. So I think the Horizon Report and these ideas are so important, and so I wanted to incorporate that into my lesson plan. Addressing the learning theories, similar to the terms of use of digital citizenship, I didn't really want to, compared to other optional components that I could put in this, it just didn't seem quite as relevant to me, and so I did not address those learning theories, even though for Makey Makey they would apply. And then finally, addressing how to adapt the components of this lesson for a virtual learning environment. For me, music is such a personal experience, and to share it with people and then learning this and creating what these students would be doing. Doing it in a virtual learning environment just doesn't quite seem as beneficial to me. While the students are including technology in their final composition, in their final demonstration of the pieces that they create, a virtual learning environment doesn't seem not necessarily possible, but beneficial for this lesson.